Heyo, everyone. Welcome to the Nonsense Double Feature. My name is Jared.
And I'm Isaac.
How you doing today, my guy?
I'm pretty excited. Today we're doing our very first Sensical special because we
Yeah,
decided we had two films that go together really well
yep.
that we wanted to talk about.
And
So,
we both watched them both pretty recently, and obviously with the release of James Gunn's Superman, Superman has been very on the brain for a lot of pop culture right now, which is, as a Superman fan is so lovely to see. But yeah, we figured today we'd talk about both the 1978 Richard Donner Superman the movie, and the recent release from I think last week now is James Gunn's Superman. Yeah, so I figured we'd start off today. I think it was more Column's idea to kick this off with some rankings of the Superman films. About the specifically the live action ones, Superman does have a decent amount of animated films. I think in total it's like something like 15 or 16 animated films. But we figured we'd just rank the live ones. So how about you go first, Mr. Collins?
okay, let's start things off. So, I watched a lot of these for the first time in the lead up to the new Superman movie. So, a lot of these are very fresh in my mind. So, I'm like very confident in this ranking. There hasn't been any of these that I haven't watched within like the last year. Like, I've watched all of these recently. So, I don't see
Gotcha.
this ranking changing anytime soon. But definitively in last place, barely, is Superman 4 The Quest for Peace.
Yeah.
This one has elements that are probably better than Superman 3, but since it's like a brisk 90 minutes, I feel like they kind of just cut around a lot of the potentially interesting stuff. And they just kind of, at this point, they were like running on fumes for these Christopher Reeve films after the whole hassle with Superman 2 and then Superman 3 not being as good. And then they were just like churning these out at this point. Just did not like really anything about this. I just
Yeah,
really
it's a rough one.
detested this film.
It's a rough
And
movie.
then right after that is Superman 3, which I also kind of hated.
Mm,
I was really shocked by how much I didn't like 3 and 4 just because I really liked obviously Christopher Reeve's original a lot and I liked 2. But I was really disappointed in 3 because I feel like they had some good concepts with like Superman turning evil, but he's not like evil Superman. He's kind of just like asshole Superman, which I thought was a great bit.
mm,
But there's just like way too much Richard Pryor, not enough Superman. It was like such a weird thing where like what was his name? Like Gus. It was a whole lot about the character Gus and not enough about Superman.
yeah,
And it was very odd and it just made the movie feel real long. And you can just tell like the only people giving any energy at this point were Christopher Reeve and Richard Pryor. They were both giving great performances in an otherwise not so great movie.
yes.
But now every other one besides that, I actually really enjoy. I hate putting it this low, but next on my list would be Superman 2, specifically the Donner cut, because I've only seen the Richard Donner cut. I've really enjoyed this film. Um, the way it like builds off of Lois and Clark's relationship in the first one, I thought was brilliant. Like the Lois and Clark stuff is better in 2 than 1 in my opinion, but I thought the villain plot with General Zod was a bit weaker than Lex Luthor in the first one, but it all culminates very nicely. Like I really liked the finale of this one. Um, and something I didn't know about this going in is it's very similar to Spider-Man 2. Like he like gives up his powers, he tries not being Superman for a while, like doesn't want to deal with the responsibility, then he's like, probably should be helping people. It's selfish to not be using my powers to help people. Like I know it's like it can suck and it can be hard, but it's for the greater good. And that's just like very Superman. Um like everything at the Fortress of Solitude was great with his dad.
Mm,
Like love that. Next up, in Superman Returns. Maybe a little controversial because it's pretty. It's a lot of people are mixed on this one.
yeah,
And like I said, I just watched this for the first time, like within the last couple of weeks. I was shocked by how much I liked it. It's in my mind, Superman Returns is kind of like if they James Bondified Superman because they cast a new actor, but they imply it's the same continuity as the Donner films. So it's not Christopher Reeve, but it's Brandon Ruth in the role now,
I
who I
believe
thought was
it's
great.
specifically the continuity of 1 and then the Donner cut. There's no 3 and 4. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
so
when it
so
returns.
it's one and then the Donner cut, which is already weird on its own, but they like have things like modern technology like computers, even though it's supposed to be like the 70s, but they have like 90s, early 2000s technology. So it felt like how they do a James Bond film where they're like, yeah, it's the same guy, but it's like they're doing their own thing. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't like this one just because like it has the weight of the Donner films to carry on its shoulders, but I feel like kind of moves past a lot of those elements to kind of do its own thing. So I feel like it's more like it's a victim of like the baggage it has to carry, but if you like meet it on its own terms, I feel like it's pretty enjoyable, at
Mhm.
least to me. I also really like when the criminal was like shooting like the minigun at him. He's walked up and then he pulled out his pistol and shot him, and the bullet like bounced off of his eye. That was
Yeah, it's an
awesome.
awesome scene.
That was sick. Or like the scene where he like flies up to space and is like looking down on him as his father's like message is playing to him, like Jor-El's message is playing because it's still Marlon Brando. So you have like Marlon Brando as he's like flying over the planet. I was like, oh, that's so Superman. The Lex plot was great. The twist with his with Lois Lane's child, I thought was really good. Although
Yeah.
that brings up a whole lot of like continuity issues. But like I said, if you're thinking about it as like a James Bond movie, like if it's like James Bond continuity, then it's like you can look past it. Um, but no, I thought it was really good. It sucks that the director and like the main villain are played they're like just awful people.
Yeah, it's a shame.
That kind of sucks. It really brings it down. But I mean, still a great cast. You have James Marsden, Parker Posey's in it. Obviously, Marlon Brando's in it. Cal Penn is in it a little bit. He
He
has like
is,
no
yeah.
lines, which is really funny. Um, but yeah, but as for my top five, this is where it's like they're all extremely close. Like they're like 2 through 5 on my ranking are all interchangeable. Like you asked me tomorrow, like it could be this, but right now I'm thinking number 5 is Man of Steel. I love Man of Steel. It's a movie that's really grown on me. I've always thought it was okay, but I really, really love it now. I just adore this take on Superman, even though it's like very different from the comics that I like, which is why I find it so ironic. I love it because I feel like this is not the take when I read comics. I'm like, I don't think I would like it, but for some reason, it just works in this sense. I really have never been able to pinpoint exactly why, but for whatever reason, I really like Snyder's take, and I think the highlight is Michael Shannon as Zod, who is just screaming every line. It's insane. Um, a lot of what goes down, like it's like very grounds it in like 2010s, 21st century, like reality in that sense. So it's like not as fantastical a version of Superman, but for like what Zack Snyder's story is doing and what he's trying to do, I think it works extremely well. Um, and then it's probably like one of the greatest superhero scores ever. Like Hans Zimmer's Man of Steel score. I feel like people who even don't like this movie can admit that the score is incredible. Like it's just epic. This is one of the best Dragon Ball movies because they're just throwing each other around. It's probably the closest we've gotten as a Dragon Ball movie besides like the Matrix sequels. Um, but I really do like Man of Steel. And then in fourth place, despite Superman not being in it very much, I still count it because Zack Snyder's Justice League is absolutely a Superman movie because the entire film grapples with the absence of Superman. So even though Superman's only in it towards the end, like the last third, it is still definitively a Superman film. You're feeling the effects of Batman v Superman. You are feeling the effects of the lack and the death of Superman. And then it culminates in him being resurrected as he does all the time. Nobody stays dead in comics, so we all knew he was coming back. But when he gets the black suit and he like flies out and like is hovering over the earth, it's like, oh, that's so Superman. And he gets some cool moments where he like stops Steppenwolf's axe and just like beats the crap out of him. That's really good. And my top three, these are all like basically like perfect or near perfect Superman films in my eyes for different reasons. They all have their own flaws and they all have their own strengths, but when you balance them out, like these three movies just scream Superman to me. Number three, I've got Superman the movie, Richard Donner. Christopher Reeve is definitely still the best Superman actor. It's crazy they just got the best one first try. Um, I feel like everyone is always compared to him because he's simply the greatest to ever be Superman. And there's so much about Superman the movie that is like admirable. Like it takes so long for Christopher Reeve to even show up. Like it's like 45 minutes. It's all his origin. Like he doesn't get to Metropolis to like 45, 50 minutes in. Superman only shows up like, a good chunk into the film. Has like the perfect Clark and Lois. Like it's so happy. Like it's such a happy film, even like in its like darker, sadder moments. Like it's ultimately like a triumph. Um, a lot of the old effects still hold up today. I think they're like very charming, like how like Star Wars effects still hold
Mm,
up.
agree.
Um, it's just got like such a good feel, and my God, if it's not probably the best looking Superman movie ever, like oh my God, Richard Donner. I'm so sad he wasn't able to do two originally, and they like had to like retool his cut because I wish he had kept making Superman films because he just got the character. He understood like how to make a good looking movie, man. Um, yeah, I this was the first Superman movie I watched. Like I watched this as a kid, still love it today. I love it more now than I did as a kid. Just unbelievable film, like formative for so many things. Like really started like the superhero genre in film in many ways. Like it's hard to not love Superman the movie. And then number
Agreed.
two, barely over Superman the movie. Like this is extremely close, but I slightly prefer Gunn's Superman. Um, Simply because I adore the look of this film, and I know a lot of people don't like the look of this film, and some people are kind of iffy on it. I am all in on this wide angle, like frenetic, dynamic, crazy camera movement action because when you have a film that just throws you in the loop, you like feels like you're starting like issue two of a run. Like it feels like you missed a lot of the setup, but it's all intentional because it just throws you right in the middle of the action, and you just get 2 hours of straight Superman awesome stuff. You get great Clark and Lois dynamic. You get David Corn Sweat, who is like the closest we've gotten to Christopher Reeve and Superman. I feel like if we get a couple more Superman movies where he's as good, if not better, he may be my definitive Superman actor. It would take a lot, but I think he has it in him. Um, the colors in this film are just popping like crazy. Every action scene, it's like you feel less like an observer to the action and more like an active participant with like how the camera like gets right up in people's face and then quickly pulls back. Like it feels like you're like feeling all the hits. Like it's just so invigorating. Like it made me so happy, and I've seen it twice in theaters or three times. How many times have I seen this? Three times in theaters now. And I just like it more every time. Like I cannot stop smiling and like feeling giddy as I watch it. I'm very excited to see where Superman goes next in with James Gunn, and then just the DCU as a whole. I'm completely sold on that. And then maybe controversially, but my
Huh.
favorite Superman film, this is where I'm gonna lose people. I've lost them already. My favorite Superman film is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, specifically the Ultimate Edition, because that's the
Uh-huh.
version I own on 4K.
Yeah, that's the version that fixes the plot holes.
Yeah. So I only watched Batman v Superman once when I was like, I don't even think I saw it in theaters. Like I had thought Man of Steel was okay when I watched it, and I don't even think I saw that in theaters. So even though I was aware this was coming out, I just like didn't end up go seeing it. I was like, eh. And thank God, because the one time I watched it at home, it was the original cut, and I did not like this movie. In fact, I hated it. I since rewatched it, hated it again. Then I spent years, being like, this movie isn't for me, and that's fine. And then I started last summer when when this Gun Superman was filming. I was like, I want to read some Superman comics. I've only read some. I want to, be a little bit more in depth. And I'm by no means an expert, but I've read a good handful of Superman comics now. I've read a bunch of different takes on the character, and Snyder's take on Superman is very different from a lot of what I love in the comics, but like I said with Man of Steel, it just works for some reason. In this context, with the story they're telling, it all makes sense, and it's like such a dark film. It feels very hopeless. There are a lot of scenes that are taken from these films that are like, this is why I don't like it because this is not the Superman I like, and I totally get that. That being said, I love it. And I think a lot of the scenes can sometimes be like taken different ways. Like it's like up like there's some scenes that can be taken in interpretation. And Batman v Superman is a behemoth of a film to me. It just totally nails what it would be like if Superman was in our real world. Gunn takes it as like this is Superman in this DC fantasy world. Snyder was like, what if Superman was in our world today? And I just think it's incredibly fascinating. I think uh, Larry Fong as the director of photography with Snyder's direction makes Batman v Superman one of the best looking superhero films. The 4K I have has the 70 millimeter IMAX scenes intact. So like you get the full aspect ratio. It doesn't just fill up my screen. It puts black bars on the left and right of my screen to get the full 70 millimeter frame. And it makes this epic. It feels like watching mythology unfold before my eyes, but instead of Greek gods, it is superheroes. The Bat and Superman, Man of Steel. Um, yeah, I know you're gonna disagree on me on this heavily, but to me, my favorite Superman movie is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition.
Well,
So I yapped long enough. Take it away.
I'm glad at least our lists will be very different.
Yeah, very different.
So, unlike Column, the only difference here is I do not count these any version of Justice League as a Superman movie. That is just my
And that's
personal
fair.
opinion. I do understand where Column's coming from, but I just don't think there's nearly enough of the man to call it a Superman movie. Okay, so coming in last place, just like Column, is Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. I have actually, in recent years, I've heard some decent arguments in favor of this movie being kind of decent, but I just don't agree, and I think it stinks. And I think it's stupid watching Superman throw nuclear men into a nuclear reactor. It's kind of annoying, and I don't like it. And like you said, it does feel like the whole franchise is just running on fumes at that point, like with Lex Luthor just driving around in a car for some reason with his like nephew, I think it is, and they're just like goofing off the entire time. It's so bizarre. Um, but yeah, that's in last place for sure. And then right after that would be that the film Column just raved about actually is Batman versus Superman, and we can go the Ultimate Edition, we can go the 2.5 hour edition, you can go whatever you want with it. I think both versions of this movie stink. Uh, while I think Ben Affleck gives a pretty good performance, I think the rest of it is quite poor. I do see the appeal of the movie. I mean, the action is quite awesome, and the cinematography is really good. But in terms of just what the characters are about in this movie, it's just not at all what I am looking for either Superman, Batman, or Lex Luthor in that case as well. I think Lex
Ooh,
Luthor is
really?
so unbelievably annoying in this movie. It drives me crazy, actually.
That's my favorite Lex. That's my
Yeah,
favorite.
I
Him
see
or Nicholas
everyone's
Holt.
like, oh, he's the best. In no universe do I agree with that, but it's okay. I think Batman is inexplicably stupid in this movie, where he is just like rage baiting the whole time. He's being rage baited the whole time by Lex Luthor, and he can't see it, and it just pisses me off how obvious it is, and he just can't see it. Um, I think a lot of Superman's just like stupid stoic looks, where he's just standing there and giving this like weird little like furrowing his brow in a way, and I think it just looks like annoying. I think a lot of the material is just kind of condescending in a lot of ways. That movie, the way it positions Superman as this like god, I find it just very annoying. I don't like it. I think Batman versus Superman stinks. So there you go. Like,
Very different lists.
yeah, I mean, I
And
get it.
that happens. That's how it
It's
goes.
just
And that's
I always everyone's always like, oh, but the warehouse scene with Batman, it's well choreographed, but I don't know, dude. I don't like watching Batman just fucking maul people, and I really don't enjoy that. Like, it's just this is not what I'm like. He fucking cracks a guy's skull open against the wall. He fucking stabs a guy in the shoulder. He fucking blows a guy up with a grenade. Like it just nah. I'm not a fan. I'm good. I'm
Blows
all
up
good on
their
that.
car with his car.
Yeah, literally just shreds people with bullets from his car, and it's like, all right, whatever, dude.
He
I
brands people so they'll get shanked in
and
prison.
I get it. We're going for a Dark Knight Returns thing here, but I would argue that the Dark Knight Returns book is a million times better than anything in Batman vs Superman. Okay, moving on. Don't want to don't want to sit on that for too long. Coming in next, Superman 3, and I kind of enjoy some aspects of Superman 3. I think it's definitely boring, like Colin mentioned, but I do like it kind of looks at little other pockets of the source material that we don't get in the other two movies, like Lana Lang and whatnot. And I think it's Lana Lang in that movie. Am I right?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. But I think Richard Pryor is kind of endearing and fun, and I do think the whole like his fight against like the Dark Superman in the construction yard is kind of fun. I think it is like you said. There's not much like story behind it, and it's just kind of lazily done. But I think it's a little bit fun and interesting. Moving on, Superman 3 isn't really much to talk about. So up next is Man of Steel. And I want to preface this by saying I don't dislike Man of Steel. I think Man of Steel actually has plenty of merit to it. I think it's a very watchable and fun movie after the first act. I think the first act of Man of Steel is just so boring and so full of similar to Batman vs Superman, just full of crap. Like what do you like? John Kent just telling his son like, you should be quiet and not do anything, and so no one will come get you. I don't like Zack Snyder's whole "what if Superman was in the real world?" That's not me. That's not what I go to. It's not what I read the Superman comics for. It's not what I've watched the cartoons for. It's not what I've gone to the movies for with Superman. So, the whole like, oh, in the real world, if he was seen, he'd be captured by the government and brought in. It's like, yeah, I get it, but I don't care. Okay, I want to see something. I want to see something fun and cool, and that's not what that is. It's just annoying Kevin Costner, like Clark, whatever. And then fucking just putting his hand out and letting him die. It's like, what are we doing here, guys? Really, what are we doing here? But after the first
He's
act,
dying for his beliefs.
yeah, after the first act,
Dying.
aside from the scene when he just like destroys that trucker's truck, I'm not saying I dislike the scene because I'm pro sexual harassment. Okay, like, I've heard the argument 1,000 times. I dislike that scene because I just don't think that is what I don't think standing up against sexual harassment makes you Superman. I think that makes you just a decent person, unfortunately, in this world. Where just being now we kind of live in this era where our modern standards are so bad for being a good person that just like stopping blatant sexual harassment in a public place makes you Superman, I guess, in the eyes of Zack Snyder and Chris Terrio. So I think that's dumb. But aside from that, I think the action is fucking great. Probably the best action in any Superman movie, maybe the best action in any comic book movie. You could really argue it. It's fucking phenomenal. The fights with him and Zod just flying through Metropolis. The Metropolis getting destroyed doesn't really bother me as much as other people complain about in that movie. And I don't love Zod being killed, but I do see Snyder's argument for it, and I respect that Snyder did the kill for something serious. It wasn't just like a frivolous, this is funny and this is cool. It was like, he really the pain on Henry Cavill's face in that moment. I think that's actually one of the best acted moments of his career. I do like that moment.
Mhm.
I don't love the fact that he kills him. That's the route the movie goes, but it's a well thought out and written route in my opinion. And overall, like you said, Michael Shannon is tremendous as Zod in that movie. He's so awesome. Moving on. Next would be Superman Returns, and this I kind of feel the same way about this movie as I do Man of Steel, but it's just a little bit closer to what I like. It's more closer to the version of Superman that I like, so I put this above it. But really, these movies are kind of tied. Um, I do love the plane sequence in Superman Returns. I think everyone does. When he lands the plane in the baseball field, that shit is awesome.
Phenomenal.
Um, in general, I think there's just a lot of cool flying sequences, and yeah, like you said, when he's flying up and they can hear Marlon Brando's voice, that stuff is great. In many ways, so this movie does feel just like a lazy attempt to rekindle some nostalgia, and it's not. It doesn't feel enough like its own thing. It feels like the shitty Bryan Singer just kind of just resurrecting someone else's movies, and trying to make that, and it doesn't work. I do think Brandon Routh is a really fun Superman and a good Superman, and I think his suit, aside from the drab red, is a nice looking Superman suit. But yeah, Superman Returns is just it's similar to Man of Steel. There's some things I don't like, there's some things I like, but it's just not very a strong movie in either way for me. It's just 3-star is what it is. Coming up next will be the theatrical cut of Superman 2. You mentioned you've only seen the Richard Donner cut. Superman 2, the theatrical cut by Richard Lester, I think is a pretty solid movie. I think it's fun. I think Zod is great. I think Lex Luthor is hilarious. Unfortunately, I think the ending scene in the what's it called, the Fortress of Solitude is just stupid. You haven't seen this version, Colin, but in the
I have not.
theatrical version, there's a scene where a bunch of Superman clones just show up, which is never a power he's had in any comic book. And then for some reason, the second the big tall Zod grunt comes flying after him, and Superman just like inexplicably grabs his chest and then throws what looks like to be like some kind of cellophane see-through S logo, and it just wraps around him and knocks him down, and then he gets right back up. And it's so stupid and silly, and it's like it's too much for me. I know Richard Lester liked campy Superman a lot, but I don't like it to the amount he pushes it. I can do campy Superman, but that is just a bunch of clones, and then he tosses the logo, and it does nothing to him. Even what the hell was the point of that? But Superman 2 does have good stuff. It is much different from the Donner version. The version of the story we get in that one, I think, is good as well, but it's not nearly as strong as the Donner version. But it is a movie that is very iconic and beloved, and I do recognize that. I see it. I see how people like it that much. Coming in for number 3 would be James Gunn's Superman. And we're going to talk more about this movie in a little bit, so I won't spend too much on it. But I think this movie is pretty good. I think it has a few problems that I really don't like, that are aging poorly in my head the more I think about them. But there are some stuff that I really really enjoy. I think Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor is insanely good. Like he's better than Gene Hackman, which is a lot for me. I think Gene Hackman's an amazing Lex Luthor,
Yeah.
but Nicholas Hoult is better in my opinion. He's so good. I love Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. Um, I'm happy that while I like Jimmy Olsen. I think it's cool that he's back in the fold and being treated like a character again instead of a CIA agent. But I didn't love what they did with him. I'll expand on that more. But just happy to see some characters that were treated like afterthoughts in the previous version of Superman. Yeah. Coming in at number 2 would be Superman the movie by the great Richard Donner. I fucking love that movie. Like you said, it's so pretty to look at, and I love how it just kind of for like the first like act and a half, it kind of really lacks any kind of central plot, and it's just kind of Superman coming up in age, and you see this nice little rise where he's running up against the trains in this little farm town, and his father dies in a way he can't control, which is something I think is very very good.
Mhm.
That's just a big part of Superman's growth and development as a character is when people die in a way he can't stop. He can't stop a heart attack. I think the way it was done in Man of Steel as a contrast was ridiculous. When it was like, oh, there's a tornado coming, but we're in public, so you can't save me. I think it's the stupidest fucking thing in the world. I massively prefer if someone's got to die, and Superman can't control it. That's what I like how it goes when it's a heart attack, and obviously he can't reach into the guy's chest and save his heart. Just good stuff there. And then throughout the rest of the movie, I mean, I love watching Superman catch the bullet in the alleyway with Lois.
Yeah.
And then like so much of this movie is just Clark trying to get with Lois, and it's like like it's in many ways just like a silly romance for a lot of it, and I love that stuff. I love it so much. Maybe I'm cheesy and easy to please in that way, but I really love that aspect, and it's the blueprint, like you said. It's what set the trend for all these great movies now. Moving on is the number 1. Boom boom would be Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, which I think you put at like 5 or 6, something like that. But I absolutely adore this movie. I think it has all the great stuff of Superman 2, but even better. I think the alternate version of Lois and Superman's whole little journey in that movie is much better. I don't love the whole Paris sequence very much in the theatrical cut. I think it's better in the Donner cut. And I love the changes to the third act. Like I mentioned, the third act of Superman 2 is kind of for me. But in this one, it corrects so many things. Superman defeats them in such a clever way that isn't stupid, and it feels like something the character would do. And I really, really love that movie. I think it's just lovely. I think I forget, always forget his name, but it's my apologies. But the guy who plays Zod in that movie, I think it's such an awesome Zod performance. I think Gene Hackman is just so fucking funny in that movie when he goes into the president's office and he kicks up his feet on the desk and he starts
Oh yeah.
putting up the peace signs like Nixon. It's just so fucking hilarious. And then when later at the in the movie in the third act when they're fighting in the city, which is such a beautiful looking scene. Lex Luthor is sitting on the top of the file cabinets at the Daily Planet, and he's just like laying back, kicking his feet up, and I just like he's just there laughing and like trolling them the whole time. Like Zod is just kind of letting him hang out because he sees that like he has access to stuff and he can help him like navigate Earth and whatnot, and like he can help him with Superman type shit. But aside from that, he's just like hanging out. He's not powerful at all in this moment, and he's just kind of enjoying himself. And I think that's one of the best Gene Hackman performances ever. It's just so fun. Um, but yeah, Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, to me is the best Superman film of all time. So yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah. So with that, I think we can move on to our more in-depth talk. We talked for a whole 30 minutes on just our rankings, so we probably won't spend too much time on on Superman the movie. But let's talk about it now. And how about I go first? You want to go with that?
Yeah.
All right,
Take the
cool.
lead. This one's you love this one more than me.
Yes, I mean, this movie is a masterpiece. It is the blueprint, like we mentioned before. All these Superman films that come out now, unfortunately, they aren't half as good. A vast majority of them aren't half as good as this one, but they do all follow its lead with the prototypical opening of the origin, and then the big number one villain he's got in Lex Luthor, and the classic ending of saving the girl, whatever it's become in these days, right? This is a blueprint that everyone follows now. But I mean, this movie is just such a pleasure. It's incredible that on the first go around they were able to cast someone who embodies Superman in every aspect. Like Christopher Reeve just looks like Superman, and he looks like Clark Kent. The way he's able to act differently between the two is so perfect. How he has that slight little slouch to him and that nerdy little movement whenever he's got his Clark outfit on, and he's got a much like more timid voice, and he's very reserved. I'm like, well, Lois, well, let's here. Let's gotta see what we can do. But then when he talks like Superman, he's like so confident, and he's got his whole chest out, his shoulders are up, and it's a perfect. I don't mean to go back to Man of Steel again, but that's what I was missing in those movies. I felt like Clark and Superman were just like the exact same guy in different outfits. Whereas in this film, it really does feel like Clark and Superman are two distinctly different guys who just kind of share a body, and it's weird. It's like there's two different people there. It's very fun. Um, I think it's got still to this day. I think that's the best Superman suit in live action. You can say it looks cheap for modern standards, or looks like a Halloween costume. I don't care. I think it's perfect. I think it's especially with the look of the rest of the film. It just looks great for that era. The 1970s filmic look that it had. In some senses, I think Lex Luthor kind of just like flogs around for a while in this movie, but I still think he's very fun, especially at the end with the big kryptonite rock on the chain. Um, that's just it's great. And like I mentioned before, the opening act where he's just still a kid is such a pleasure to me. Watching him run alongside that train, I just get the biggest smile on my face every time watching that scene. Um, yeah, my thoughts on this movie are just very general because I mentioned before it's kind of plotless for like a decent amount of time, and it's just kind of vibes of Clark getting to know Lois, and it's so awesome. I always go to the one scene when they're finally gonna go on a date, and Superman just like Lois goes to the bathroom, and Clark takes off his glasses and just grows like a whole inch when he's being Superman and talking to her, and then when she
Makes him
comes out,
stop slouching.
he puts the glasses back on and slouches back again when she comes out of the bathroom. It's so great. Um, Man, what else is there to say about this movie? I don't even the ending, of course, when he. I think you can if you're one of those people who doesn't want to see Superman do crazy stuff like over the top, fantastic. Then I guess you don't love him spinning the Earth back in time. But I think it's a perfect example of the idea that Superman can do anything and will do anything to save the people he loves and the people who deserve to be saved. You know, and
Mhm.
I think it's great. I think Marlon Brando as Jor-El is the funniest thing in the world. His performance is both amazing and insane, which is like every Brando performance pretty much. Um,
Yeah.
the way he just says Krypton all the time, even though it's blatantly Krypton. Like, and I've heard that like Richard Donner corrected him multiple times on set and was like, "It's not Krypton, it's Krypton." And he was like, "Oh, okay, Krypton." Like, he just kept saying Krypton over and over again. It's so fucking funny. Um, but he's great as Jor-El. He's so stoic, and that opening bit with him getting ready to send Kal-El to Earth is just it's beautiful. It really is. Um, I love Eve Tessmacher. She's a fun little silly OC. I do love watching the bit of Jor-El creating the Phantom Zone. That is obviously it's been repeated in Man of Steel, but I love that that's kind of the bit that's followed Jor-El into cinema. That's a very important trait for him as well. He was obviously James Gunn's Superman kind of goes in a little different direction, but in the Donner and the Snyder films, Jor-El is a good guy, but who made something terrible with the Phantom Zone. You know, so I love that aspect of his character. But yeah, I'm just kind of rambling, so I'll hand the rest over to you, my guy.
Yeah, I mean, I have pretty general thoughts because I watched it as a kid and then I hadn't seen it in many, many years until I watched it again last year. So it was like seeing it for the first time again because it'd been so long. But I mean, I was very caught off guard by like how you said it's like a pretty plotless for like the good first half because it's mostly like it opens up with the destruction of Krypton, which is like a good like 10 something minute sequence. You have, him being raised by Ma and Pa Kent. You have him growing up, learning his powers, and he finally gets to Metropolis, meets Lois Lane, and then stuff kind of kicks in as Lex Luthor starts to, be a little conniving. Um, I really do love that opening scene, which like the opening scene of Superman 1 kind of setting up Superman 2 was really funny to me because like they send Zod away into the Phantom Zone. Obviously, they come back in 2. um, I think Jor-El is extremely good. Like Marlon Brando has just like a sense of like gravitas
Hmm.
to everything as Jor-El. So like you really feel that in the Fortress of Solitude, like the messages he left him in 1 and especially 2. But um man, Marlon Brando is so good.
Yeah, you know,
I think
just
what
Brando.
I
I hate to interrupt you, but just Brando being Brando really brings a lot of elevation to the character right away. You know, he just kind of like makes you snap in.
yeah, no, like it's instantly like that's Jor-El. I mean, like his like white hair. I always like when Jor-El has white hair. I know it's like a very specific thing, but Jor-El having like bleached white hair, like that's just like right to me.
Hmm.
Not that like that matters whatsoever, but when I see like a bleached hair Jor-El, I'm like, yep. It's like Marlon Brando, I'm like, yep. And some of the animated stuff, I'm like, yep. Um, what else? So I think the thing about this film is it's not like the villain plot isn't even like important for a while. Like it's just kind of like Superman like saving people. There's like a whole bunch of emphasis on him just kind of like helping out the city. Like he's new to Metropolis, he's new to helping people. I mean, the whole scene where Lois Lane is like falling on the side of the building and he catches her and he has her in a hand, and then he flies up and catches the helicopter too. Is like, oh my god, it's like that's one of those like movie magic moments where it's like that's like insanely iconic and like in a bottle can be like studied for what it is and is super important. Um, the way Christopher Reeve plays Clark Kent Superman, you went over basically everything I was gonna like. I like my thoughts. Like it is one of the great superhero performances. Hell, I'd say it's one of the great performances.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, Christopher Reeve was like, you know, graduated from Juilliard, like is a classically trained actor, and that shines through. That you can have like a very serious, classically trained actor playing someone as silly as Clark Kent Superman, and he really is so committed to this. And then if you want to add to that, like the I saw it in theaters last year, but the Christopher Reeve documentary Superman, like it's
Hmm.
like Super Slash Man, the Christopher Reeve story. Like he was such like a good guy too. Like he was like perfectly cast, friends with Robin Williams. He like after his injury, he was like helping with charity and stuff. Like he just wanted to help people. Like he just was Superman in real life, which is what made him so perfect for Superman in the film because he was just this guy wanted to help people at like no matter the cost, you know.
Mhm.
And that's like a very important energy you need to have in a Superman movie. This guy needs to save people, and like he needs to be like torn, like, you know, he wants to have that personal stuff, like he wants to have the relationship with Lois Lane, but what comes first a lot of time is saving people, and it puts a strain on the relationship. Like he wants to tell Lois Lane he's Superman, but he's like, but that might put her in danger, so he's like, I'm not gonna tell her. And it's like all these things that are going on, and there's so much in like the little moments, and especially like in the wordless moments, like the scene you said where he like she goes to the bathroom when he's like at her apartment, and he like takes his glasses off, and he like kind of stands up a little bit straighter, and you're like, oh my god, he's gonna tell her, he's gonna show himself as Superman. But then he hears her come out of the bathroom, and he quickly slouches back and puts on his glasses. He's like, no, that's a bad idea. Like no words are said, but an entire scene has just happened in like 5 seconds.
Mhm.
Like so much has just happened just from his performance, and like you can write that on a page on the script and it be brilliant, but it is masterful when you have a performer like Christopher Reeve doing it, which is why that scene is so impressive. Um, the scene where he flies back, like the display of his flying is so good. Like I love how they shoot flying. Like obviously it looks dated nowadays, but it's like the same way Star Wars looks dated. Like it still looks good because it's very well integrated. It's very well shot and thought out. It doesn't look cheap. Like it looks a bit more cheap in the sequels where they had a bigger budget. But in this first one, like you, it's the tagline, but you will believe a man can fly. Like that's the perfect tagline because you really do feel like this guy just is Superman. He
Mhm.
can fly. He can set the world. Like he can like change time and save Lois Lane. Like he simply can, and he will. And it's really beautiful, beautiful
Yeah.
movie.
You know, and just to touch on one more thing, like you said, how they treat it very seriously. It does have the sense, like they have this classically trained actor. It does have the sense to this movie that at least Donner and Reeve and a few others really treated this like it was like it was some serious source material. Like this wasn't just a comic book for kids. You know, like this is something that has a lot of heart to it, a lot of humanity to it, and we need to treat it like something elevated, like it's like we're doing some Shakespeare. You know, and they treated it that way.
Mhm.
And this classically trained actor treated it like it was the most important performance of his life. You know, and I think about that sequence when Lois dies, and you know, and he's so angry, and that the anger that grows on his face, he flies off into the sky, and you got to be
That
careful
scream.
when you're doing a Superman angry like that, and they do it perfectly. You know, like it doesn't
Mhm.
always come off well, but it comes off so you understand his passion, and he just takes off, and it's incredible.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. So now we are going to get on to our next segment here, which is of course still Superman, but it is the most recent iteration that came out, I believe, last week now, and that would be the Superman 2025 film by old Jimmy Gunn. And since I went first last time, Mr. Collins, how about you go first this time?
Want me to start this off? Okay.
Yeah.
So about a year ago, when they had started like announcing they were filming and like the set pictures were coming out, and we got to see David Corn's wetsuit, I'm like, I need to prepare. I need to read some comics. So I went to my local library. They have a lot of comics there, and I've read many Superman comics. Like I said, no means an expert. By no means an expert. There is so much I still have yet to read, but I've read enough that I can consider myself a big Superman fan. I feel like I know a bit to like have I've read a lot of different types of Superman stories from like Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, all types. And Gunn's Superman, more so than any of the other ones, captured like exactly what I like when I'm reading Superman comics, so I can forgive like some minor issues because it is so unabashedly like it feels made for me, and I already love James Gunn. And right before this came out, I finally read All Star Superman. I purposely saved it for the week before release because James Gunn said it was a major inspiration, and what a great idea that was, because this literally, it's not adapting All Star Superman, but it gave me the same vibes as when I was reading All Star Superman, where it feels like, it's a week in the life of Superman. It is relatively episodic in nature. Like there are like clear, definitive sections. I mean, you can literally tell where they cut the days of the week title cards out of the film. Like they were supposed to have like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so on title card, but they got cut in test screenings. I'm not sure
Hmm.
why, but you can literally tell like it'll cut to black, then cut to a new scene, or like smash cut, and you're like, oh, there is going to be like the word Wednesday on screen right there. um, but it just feels like living with Superman, you see like his day-to-day life. Like you may not get the whole picture, like we skip his origin, we skip the initial battle with the Hammer of Bravia. Like it starts you off by saying like 3 hours ago he lost, and or like 3 minutes ago he lost. And it starts him like crash landing to heal in his fortress, and from there it's immediately like all gas, no brakes for 2 hours. Shows you a bunch of crazy, very Silver Age stuff with how kind of zany it can get, but still like treats it seriously, um, but still keeps it fun. Um, I really liked how steeped it was in like the DC mythos by bringing in like maybe some lesser known characters. As a part of the books I read for Superman, I think it was Justice that was illustrated by Alex Ross. I'm forgetting who wrote it. I feel like it was, I want
Believe
to say Mark
I think
Wade.
that's
Mark
Mark
Wade.
Wade. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Mark
He
Wade.
definitely, because it was Mark Wade and Alex Ross who did Kingdom Come. But before I read Kingdom Come, I read Justice, and I'm pretty sure it was in Justice. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong because I know you know the comics, but I believe it was Justice where I forget who it was, but somebody hired Mister Terrific to kind of like be a detective on, get some dirt on the Justice League. So that was my first introduction to Mr. Terrific, and that was before I knew Mr. in the movie because it was like the day the first set photo came out. Or maybe I did know he was in the movie. I forget, but
By the way, just real quick, Alex Ross also wrote Justice. I'm seeing.
oh, he wrote it too.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember. I know it was the illustration,
and Jim
but
Kruger as well.
yeah, that yeah. Um, but Mr. Terrific was in, I think it was Justice, but he was in one of the comics I read, and I fell in love with Mr. Terrific for one appearance. So it's really awesome to see him. You had Anthony Kerrigan as like Metamorpho Shop. You had Hot Girl. You had Guy Gardner. So I just love how we like. There wasn't too many side characters. It was like teetering on too many side characters, but you get like a nice view of this world that we're now thrust into. This fantasy world. Like metahumans have existed for 300 years. Like a fact of life. People aren't going to be surprised at the advent of Superman, like in Snyder's version. So it's like a like 180-degree different from Zack Snyder, but I love this version just as much. I adored the bits of Clark and Lois we got. I hope we get even more in the sequel. I loved like so much about Superman in this. Like he's there's just so much where he's like he's just trying and trying and trying to do what he thinks is right. Like he stops the war and he's like I wasn't there to represent anybody. Like I was just doing it for good. Like people were going to die. Like I'm just trying to keep everyone safe. And so it posits that what he went inadvertently caused more issues. And he's like, I don't even understand how that could happen. Like I'm just trying to stop a war, you know. But then you have Lois Lane in that incredible interview scene where he's like, I can interview you as Superman, and she just lays into him like a good reporter would, like asking those hard hitting questions. He's kind of floundering, and it's like he wants to see that people are safe in this world. That's not enough, and some right, he's doing stuff that is good. He is like bringing a sense of hope to the people of Metropolis, and then the exact opposite here, we have Nicholas Holt as Lex Luthor, who is this tech bro, like shredded, like almost bipolar. Because like when his like people are doing good at controlling Ultraman or the Hammer of Bravia, he's like giving them shoulder rubs. He's like yes, hyping people up. The second things go wrong, he's like throwing pencils at you. He will like keep causing messes. He will scream in your face, and the way he just starts like having tears roll down his eyes as he's just like yelling and seething at Superman was so funny. I think you'll agree with me. Like the Lex Luthor stuff was maybe the best Lex Luthor we've gotten because this guy is a pure hater. He just hates Superman for egotistical reasons. He just wants to cause this guy harm, like physically and emotionally. Um, Absolutely incredible. Score was incredible. I love the visuals, as I had mentioned earlier. But I know you probably have a bit more in-depth thoughts for stuff because I'm here more like firstly as a movie and second
Uh
as a
huh.
Superman fan, whereas you're the opposite, and that's where I feel like this will get interesting.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't really want to say much about what you're gonna say because I know you're gonna take it away. Um, but uh, I loved this so much as a James Gunn movie. I loved the Superman movie. I loved it as a movie.
There you
Now
go.
go ahead, because I know what you're gonna say.
All right, so I will preface this once again, and typically when I say I will preface this, it means I'm going to say a bunch of negative stuff, but I'm not going to say a bunch of negative stuff. I will preface this by saying I really enjoyed this movie. It's good. It's a good time. Um, it, it's a big change in direction from what Zack Snyder was doing, and I like that a lot. I prefer the optimism of Superman. I like that Ma and Pa Kent are alive. I'm happy to see them, but I do wonder if they will die at some point in this universe. I'm assuming they will. Either way, um, I like that it had a bunch of other heroes in it too, though I do disagree. I think it had too many side characters, but it was fine. It worked out. I just wish there was a little bit more focus on Lois and Clark, but the stuff that I did get with Superman and Lois was great. So I'm very happy with that stuff. Um, what else? Yeah, Lex Luthor is just incredible in this movie. Like I mentioned before, he's probably the best Lex Luthor ever so far. And I mean, watching
Mhm.
him control Ultraman like and just screaming 1A, 1A, 1A at the screen when they're just having him lay punches down on him is so good. It's really, really insane. The outfits he wears are nuts too. I think the engineer is a little. I think her origin was messed with a little bit in ways I don't love, but it didn't make a huge difference for me. It is what it is.
I thought she was sick.
She is very cool. You know, the visuals of her are quite awesome, and watching her fly around and stuff like that. And when she landed by the Fortress of Solitude, that was very cool. I do like how, like you said, the movie just throws you right into the action. That's wasn't expecting that at all, but it's very awesome. I was kind of expecting it to when it started that way. I was thinking like, okay, we're going to start at the end here, and then it's going to take us all the way back. But it didn't at all. It just continued from that, and I was very surprised by that, and I liked it. I liked the design of the Fortress of Solitude. This is like the fourth time now I've brought up a Man of Steel comparison, but in Man of Steel, the Fortress of Solitude was just like a desolate patch of snow on top of a mountain. So I'm glad that we actually have like a real fortress here, and it is fun and has these silly little robots who are all voiced by the Guardians of the Galaxy and whatnot. It was fun. I enjoyed that. I think the pacing is a little weird. I think it's kind of like just the opening bit feels like more of a two-act movie to me, and it kind of like it starts off very fast and then it slows down for a little bit with that Metropolis scene, and then it speeds back up again. It's really quick, you know, but it does feel like a 2 hour movie. It doesn't feel like an 90-minute movie. It's just the pacing is kind of a blitz. Um, I do like how it looks generally. I think there are some effects that look a little eh. I think the kaiju looked a little eh at times, but I didn't mind it. I love seeing Green Lantern just smash. I think it was the what was it? The interdimensional imp with the with
The baseball
just
bat
the
just in
baseball
the
bat in the
background, out of
background. Yeah,
focus.
just slamming it
Great
down.
scene.
That was a great scene with Lois and Clark. Like I said, I wish we got a little bit more of that, but what we got there is great. Overall, I'm happy with it because it's a big course correction for the previous stuff. While I enjoyed Man of Steel, I don't think Man of Steel worked as like this mainline continuity big universe starter movie. It just didn't work for me at all that way. Where I think this movie works the best as a starter for a new universe, and I like Anthony Carrigan as Metamorpho quite a bit. And I hate to be that guy, but Metamorpho cannot make kryptonite.
Oh, is that really a thing?
Yeah, that he absolutely cannot make kryptonite.
Oh, that's like a whole thing. Like,
Yeah, if
there's
Metamorpho
it
could make
defeat his
kryptonite,
purpose.
that would change everything in the comics. Okay, but he cannot make kryptonite. But I didn't mind that in the plot. I thought that was all right.
In this version, he can.
Yeah,
So
it was okay. Um, so the one aspect of this movie that I dislike, and it's making its rounds on the internet. A lot of people are talking about it. A reporter asked James Gunn about it to see if there was going to be like a misdirection with it, or if it was official, what were they doing with it. But big part of this movie is, of course, Kal-El is inspired by his parents' message, for his Kryptonian parents, that they left for him in the pod. And the first half of it he can see, the second half is glitched. But in the first half, they're saying, you know, these people need you, so go save them and go help them. All these things, all these the classic Superman inspiration. And then later on in the movie, it's revealed that the second half of the message basically included Jor-El, and I'm such an asshole. I'm forgetting Clark's Kryptonian mother's name, but the two of them basically
Mara.
just yes, thank you. The two of them basically just told Superman, these people are weak and they're small, and you are gonna have superpowers and they are not, so just dominate them and take as many. Specific line that I really just did not enjoy was take as many wives as you can, so you can have as many children and have them help you take over the world. And it's just it sucks. For lack of a better term, it fucking sucks. I don't like. Obviously, I'm not just gonna do this with the childish regions, but I'm gonna start with them. um, I don't like Jor-El as evil. I don't like framing Kryptonians as backwards and like demented and power hungry. Because overall, James Gunn spoke a lot about how this movie is big on the immigrant metaphor, and I love that about Superman. And an important part of that metaphor, though, is that Superman isn't just a human. Superman is a Kryptonian and a human. He's both, and that's fine. That's the whole idea. But with this, it was like he was. I get the perspective of like, oh, he's a good man despite his culture being shitty, and that speaks for humanity, as or like that speaks for we can all correct ourselves or whatever the fuck. I I don't like framing Kryptonian culture as backwards. I think it really weakens that metaphor that Gunn was talking about. I think it's I yeah, I just don't like it. I don't know how to go further into it than that, but I think it just framing the culture that he came from as backwards, and now he's a person. He's not a Kryptonian. He's a man. It's like, nah, he's both, and that's okay. Like, because obviously in real life, when you immigrate somewhere, obviously the popular immigration story belongs to America because America is built by immigrants. Um, the story there is like, you become an American, but you don't stop being whatever you were. You don't stop being German, you don't stop being French, like you don't stop being a Mexican, you don't stop being Chinese. Like you're still those things, but now you're also an American. And maybe I have the wrong perspective and I need a different explanation, but for me, I think that was a stupid idea. And it is what it is. I trust James Gunn as a storyteller. I do. I think he's a really smart guy. I don't think he's so stupid as to not see my argument and think like that I'm wrong or something. Obviously I think he would know that like the immigrant story is true in that sense, that you don't lose what you were. I think maybe he's going for something else. Again, I trust him, but I think this was a stupid idea, and I'm hoping it doesn't affect Superman's and Supergirl's arcs in the DCU too much. I hope we just kind of move on from this as quickly as possible. To be totally honest with you, because I think it sucks. But to round it out with a good thing to say, I do like this movie. Once again, I think we're back on the right course. I look forward to Supergirl a lot. I love seeing her at the end, and I love. I know not everyone loves the idea of Crypto being Supergirl's dog, but I like that more
I
modern
do.
idea. Yeah, I think it's fun. So yeah, I look forward to Woman of Tomorrow quite a bit. And real quick, I love seeing Peacemaker. That was so funny to see
That
him
was
on the
silly.
TV. I cracked up dying. And when Beck Bennett as Steve Lombard was happy to see
Oh,
Steve
incredible.
Lombard included.
Where's my seat?
When they get in the ship, it's why don't I have a seat? And he's just laying on the ground like in the fetal position, like panicking. It's amazing. I love that. I love that so
Oh,
much.
when the city's like under attack, like not under attack, but like the interdimensional rift is headed towards the city, and they're all like evacuating,
Hmm.
and then Lombard is on the phone. He's like calling like his ex-wife or his wife. It's unclear the way he was calling me. It's like ex-wife. But he was like, "Put Persephone on the phone." It's like, yeah, well, cats can hear human voices. He's like just goodbye to his like old cat. It's like it's like in the background too. Like it's not even like that much attention called to it. I didn't even notice it the first time. Like I heard him like crying to somebody, but I didn't really listen to what he was saying. So I was listening to what Lois was like breaking down Lex's plan being foiled. But then I listened to it the second time. I'm like, oh, he just wants to say about his cat. And I'm like, that's
Yeah.
really
No,
funny.
I love that again. Like that
No,
was
Beck
great.
Bennett is like he's barely in the film. He's so funny. Like
Yeah.
when they announced that Beck Bennett was gonna be Steve Lombard, I'm like, perfect,
Yeah. No,
perfect
it was a
casting.
perfect
He'll
casting.
barely be
Yeah.
in it, but it'll be perfect for the
Yeah.
10 seconds he's there. I was totally right.
I won't
Um,
lie, I wish the Metropolis gang in general had a little bit more going on, but they're great with what they
I hope
got.
we get more Daily Planet
Yeah,
stuff.
me too.
Like,
Um,
I want more Daily Planet stuff. I want more Superman, Lois. I know you said you want to move on, but I do wonder if maybe he'll like learn more about Krypton and realize that like not that it was just his parents were kind of evil, but it was like they're still good in Krypton in some other capacity. Like maybe it's not the people, but it's like the planet itself or like other parts of the culture,
Yeah,
like
no,
he'll
there's
embrace.
room. There's room for sure.
Yeah, like he James Gunn has a wiggle room. Like he hasn't locked himself into just being like, oh, it's just invincible now.
No, and
Obviously, Invincible did not invent
right,
that idea,
right. And
but
I
that's
was
like the
thinking
popular
maybe
version.
it's possible he's gonna use it as a way to build out Krypton. Like I was thinking maybe Supergirl's parents disagree with Jor-El, right? So maybe that's gonna open up some little plot about how on Krypton there was a lot of thoughts of like between Jor-El and a few others who believe what was gonna happen of like what to do, you know. And it was
Yeah,
just a differing political ideology was to like we should send our kids to somewhere they're going to dominate, right? Or then Zor-El was like, no, we should just send them somewhere they're going to be people, right? So maybe that'll happen. Who knows? And I wouldn't mind that, but again, it wouldn't fix, it wouldn't make it all super happy for me. But I'll if he does
I
use
would
it
find
for
that very
something,
interesting.
yeah, if he uses it for something, I'll respect that. You know, certainly.
If he also moves on and doesn't acknowledge it, I'd also be fine with it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hope he
Like
doesn't
I said.
like kind of touch on it, and it's like just a, I would hate for him to just like touch on it again just to reiterate it, but then do nothing with it. Like either
Yes.
commit like one way or another. Like I'd rather see someone commit than kind of like falter out. Obviously, I don't know if this is like the greatest comparison, but like a lot of people didn't like The Last Jedi, but I feel like people would have liked the sequel trilogy more if they had just committed to the ideas that people didn't like instead of trying to like revert
Yeah.
back.
Right.
'Cause then you have like this like weird mismatch of between films where if you just committed to the bad idea, at least it would be like consistent.
Yeah,
But
no,
I love
if
The Last
that's
Jedi. So
if that's the idea he wants to do, he should stick with it. He shouldn't retcon
yeah,
it.
yeah, don't pussy out.
Yeah,
Commit to it.
but
Don't be a wuss.
but before we wrap up here, I want to shit on Man of Steel one more time. In Man of Steel, Steve Lombard is Steve Lombard is, or he might be BVS even. Steve Lombard is literally just a nameless guy who offers Clark or Lois 2 tickets to like a football game, and that's
Man of
it.
Steel.
He's gone. See you later, forever, Steve Lombard. Bye bye. So, you know, I like the
Oh,
fact
he
that
also
this
does
movie.
away he does away with, Jimmy Olsen too.
Yeah, yeah, he does.
Family Superman.
I like the fact that this movie actually like enjoys the Daily Planet characters. I'm a fan beyond Perry White. You know, Perry White's great in Man of Steel, but you know
Oh my
that's it.
god. Lawrence Fishburne.
He's the only Metropolis guy that's great in that movie. But either way, we're done here now. I think so. Yay!
Whole lot of Superman.
Yeah.
First ever sensical special.
Yep.
Maybe we'll do more of these, maybe we won't.
Maybe.
Depends how we feel.
Yeah, we'll see.
Uh, but yeah, it's just fun.
Maybe we do like a Batman one day or something. I can see maybe do this for superheroes. You know, that could be fun. But who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe someone will come up. Who knows?
Yeah. Either way. All right. Adios, everyone.
Peace.